Today, we begin the news with a strange debate and question, who is the real black leg? The 6-year-long deadly conflict in the Cameroons has seen Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians who inherited language and culture from their former colonial master, Britain, fighting to liberate, restore themselves from the domination, stolen independence from French Cameroon, who inherited a different culture and language from their own former colonial master, France. The question would be, did French Cameroon or La République du Cameroun really get full independence from France? We will examine this question during the Undaunted ABC Amber News Conference starting Monday, the 16th of May 2022. Now let's make progress with the discussion. According to Colbert Gwain, an Ambazonia digital rights activist, radio host and content creator, we are all black legs. Time to end the proxy war. My question would be, is it a proxy war? According to Colbert rhetoric, activists fighting to create the so-called Anglo-Saxon nation are enablers of the British colonial heritage, while those fighting to maintain the status quo are enablers of the French colonial heritage. Both sides are therefore black legs helping to perpetuate a shameful and disgusting colonial past, at the expense of the once rich and flourishing values of African kingdoms. As you can see, Colbert is attempting to shift the discussion back to the German Cameroon, the one Cameroon idea that Yaoundé clinging on to foster the Franco-Cameroon hegemony. So Colbert says, quote, "It is intriguing to realize that the same people who ferociously resisted European dominance, exploitation, and imperialism that robbed Africa of its natural wealth are today fighting and killing each other to protect and preserve the same colonial heritage." This could sound good, but I would hasten to say it is a fallacy. Colbert may be ignorant or might have chosen to ignore the processes that led to the new state, the former British Southern Cameroons on one hand and the French Republic of Cameroon on the other hand. What are the historical and legal bases of the Ambazonian liberation movement? Again, these questions we hope that historians like Pa Augustin Ndanga and Barrister Valentine Ghana, Professor Bridget Tebo will help to provide some answers during next week's news conference. Now, let's make some progress as we analyze Colbert's article. After being brainwashed and immersed in Western values, belief systems, language, and education at the expense of theirs through generations of colonial rule, Africans today seem to lack the wherewithal to reimagining and recreating their own indigenous identity, culture, technology, education, religion, economy, craft, and so on, which, if interwoven with good governance, could compete favorably with the Western world in same manner like China, Asia, and you name them. For scientific research has proven that mother tongue-based multilingual education is key to enabling people attain self-fulfillment, become critical citizens and drivers of economic competitiveness. Western diplomats and leaders won't care if we fight and kill each other, so long as the Western military-industrial complex flourishes and so long as we continue to defend and protect their Western values, belief system, education, and languages at the expense of what is purely African. None of the equipment used in staging the deadly conflict in Ambazonia is produced anywhere around the African continent. We are mere consumers. The UN quickly bought Woodrow Wilson's idea of self-determination but fell short of laying down any ground rules on how a people can self-determine. Apart from their English language, the common law system, and the culture of human rights, Britain's former colonial masters never left anything tangible in West Cameroon. They hated the people to an extent that they were ruled from eastern Nigeria, seeing in Africans only slaves, monkeys, and laborers. They didn't deem it necessary practicing direct rule on them. They despised the people to a level that when time came, they only had to hand them over to France as a gift from the Queen. Today, instead of asking why, since 60 years after the departure of the colonial masters, we are unable to disentangle ourselves from their language and culture to embrace ours, we are rather fighting to defend and protect them with the blind vow to fight till the last man standing. Although the genesis of the current conflict can be traced to economic inequalities and struggle over power, linguistic and cultural identities played a significant role in fueling it, says Colbert. There is some aspect of truth in this rhetoric, but it is void of understanding when it comes to transition from the League of Nations to the United Nations. Again, I think Colbert may have a narrow understanding of the instruments that led to creation of new states and why it is an outright fraud to bring the construct of the German as a point of maintaining failed union between the two Cameroons. Truth be told, and linguists and anthropologists agree that language is about the culture and way of life of a people. Would that language not be our mother tongue rather than English and French imposed on us after conquest? Why should we fight and die to protect the white man's culture and way of life when they cannot accept even one bit of ours, not even polygamy? Our colonial masters imposed English and French as official languages in their territories in order to facilitate the exploitation of our rich natural resources. That is why the colonial system of education in Africa lacked a technological base, as their education was essentially aimed at training clerks, interpreters, artisans, and produce inspectors who would help them in the exploitation of our rich natural resources. More proof that we are fighting a proxy war for our former colonial masters in the northwest and southwest regions is the fact that it was colonialism itself that encouraged and intensified class struggle, tribalism, and ethnicity within the African colonies, ills which never existed prior to their arrival. These were strategies introduced by the colonialists to perpetuate their rule and dominion over African territories. Have we forgotten about the British colony policy of divide and rule in Nigeria just so soon? Colbert is asking. It is true, the Northwest-Southwest concept is the colonial master scheme to weaken our collective resolve, but my question to Colbert is this war all about tribalism to you? In quote, since the white man has continued to hide their political motives of domination and hegemony over Africa by using the smokescreen of international languages of wider communication like English, French, Portuguese, and Arabic as the only means of upward economic mobility, Africans have unfortunately continued to consume this information gullibly to the extent that it remains the only continent on earth where children start school using a foreign language. There you go again. Colbert and I think you're wrong. This struggle is more than language. This is not a fight over the dominance of French over English language in schools and in the courts. Yes, I agree. It was Kwesi in his acclaimed work, Going Native Language of Instruction, Development and African Emancipation, who argued that Africa continues to be underdeveloped because she continues to hang on to colonial values and languages at the expense of her rich culture and languages. To him, forgotten too soon that colonialism and the imposition of foreign languages over mother tongue underdeveloped Africa was a creeping amnesia of collective memories. But note, this is not a fight of linguistics. It is the restoration of the integrity of a people who feel cheated of independence.